Right now, somewhere in the world, a person who knows hundreds of English words is standing completely silent. Someone asked them a simple question, something like "How are you?" or "Where are you from?" And instead of answering, they froze. Their heart started beating faster. Their mind went completely blank, and then they said the only two words that felt safe: "I'm fine." And they walked away wishing they had said more, wishing they had said what they actually felt, wishing their English matched the person they know they are on the inside. If that sounds like you, I want you to know something important before we go any further. You are not bad at English. You are not too old to become fluent. You are not missing some special talent that other people have. What you are missing is one very specific thing, and once you understand what it is, everything about the way you learn English is going to change. The thing you are missing is not more vocabulary. It is not more grammar rules. It is not more hours sitting alone studying from a textbook. The thing you are missing is the ability to take the English you already know and use it in the real world, naturally, automatically, without stopping to think, without translating in your head, and without being afraid of making a mistake. That is what this masterclass is about. In the next 30 minutes, you are going to go through 10 powerful chapters. Each chapter is going to give you something you can use immediately, not next week, not after you finish another grammar book, immediately, today, the next time you open your mouth to speak English. We are going to start by destroying the belief that is probably holding you back the most. Then we are going to build your speaking ability layer by layer, starting with the simplest and most powerful sentence structures in the English language. We are going to practice real conversations, at work, in shops, with friends, with strangers. We are going to talk about what to do when you make mistakes, because you will make them, and that is completely fine. And at the very end, I am going to give you a daily practice system that takes exactly 30 minutes and works faster than anything you have ever tried. You do not need to write anything down right now. You do not need a pen or a notebook. All you need to do is listen carefully and repeat out loud every sentence I give you, because the only way to speak better English is to actually speak. And before we begin, I want you to do one thing. I want you to make a decision right now, in this moment, to show up for yourself during this masterclass, not passively, not with half your attention on your phone, fully, because what we are going to do in the next 30 minutes has the potential to genuinely change how you experience the English language, and change only happens when you are fully present. So close the other tabs, put the phone face down, and let us begin. Chapter 1. The real reason you cannot speak English yet, and it is not what you think. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever understood something in English perfectly when you read it or heard it, but then when it was your turn to say it, nothing came out? You knew the words, you understood the meaning, but your mouth simply would not cooperate. You stood there in silence, or you said something much simpler than what you meant, or you switched back to your native language. Almost every English learner experiences this, and most of them blame themselves. They think, "I'm just not good at languages," or "I started too late," or "My accent is too strong," or "I never paid attention in school." None of those things are the real reason. Here is what is actually happening. There are two different types of knowledge in your brain. The first type is called declarative knowledge. This is the knowledge of facts, the rules you can describe and explain. When you know that in English you say "she goes," not "she go," that is declarative knowledge. You can state the rule, you can explain it, you can even write about it in an exam. The second type of knowledge is called procedural knowledge. This is the knowledge of how to do something automatically without thinking about it. When you ride a bicycle, you do not think about how to balance. When you type on a keyboard, you do not think about where each letter is. The action is automatic. It comes from practice, not from reading a book about how bicycles work. Most English learners have a lot of declarative knowledge. They know the grammar rules, they know the vocabulary, but they have very little procedural knowledge, the automatic ability to produce English without consciously thinking about it. And this is exactly why you freeze when someone speaks to you. Your brain is trying to look up the rules, apply the grammar, choose the right word, check if the sentence is correct, translate it, and then produce it, all at the same time, and it simply cannot do all of that fast enough for a real conversation. The solution is not to learn more grammar. The solution is to take what you already know and practice it so many times in so many different situations that it becomes automatic. It becomes part of your procedural knowledge. And when that happens, the words start coming out of your mouth before you even realize you are speaking. There is another reason people cannot speak English, and this one lives even deeper. In the emotional part of the brain, it is called speaking anxiety, and it is one of the most powerful forces that stops intelligent, educated, hardworking people from ever becoming fluent. Speaking anxiety happens because your brain is wired to protect you from embarrassment and social rejection. When you learned your first language as a child, you made thousands of mistakes and no one judged you. Adults smiled and corrected you gently and encouraged you to keep trying. But as an adult learning English, you feel like every mistake is a reflection of your intelligence. You feel like people are judging you. You feel like making one wrong sentence will make people think less of you. And so your brain activates a kind of alarm system. The moment you are about to speak in English, your stress hormones rise, your breathing becomes shallow, the part of your brain responsible for language literally shuts down a little to protect you from the threat of embarrassment. You go blank, you freeze, and then you tell yourself, "See, I just cannot do this." But here is the truth. Every single person who speaks English confidently today went through exactly this same experience. There is no shortcut around this feeling. There is only the decision to speak anyway, imperfectly, nervously, incorrectly, and to trust that each time you do, it gets a little easier. From this moment forward, I want you to make a commitment, not to be perfect, not to speak like a native speaker, just to speak. Every single time you have a chance to say something in English, you will say it, even if it is not perfect, even if you make a mistake, even if your accent is strong, even if the sentence comes out a little wrong, you will speak. Because the only English that is completely useless is the English that stays inside your head and never comes out. Now that we understand the real problem, let us start building the solution. And we are going to start with the single most powerful tool a beginner and intermediate speaker has: simple sentence structures. But before we go there, I want to give you one more insight about how language fluency actually develops, because understanding this will save you years of frustration and misguided effort. Language researchers have identified something called the I+1 principle. The idea is this: the best way to grow your language ability is to expose yourself to input that is just slightly above your current level. Not so easy that there is nothing new to learn. Not so hard that you cannot understand anything, just one level above where you are now. When you listen to something you understand 80 to 90% of, your brain does something remarkable. It uses the context of what it understands to make educated guesses about the parts it does not. And in doing so, it acquires new vocabulary, new grammar patterns, and new expressions without any conscious study. This is why children learn languages so effortlessly. They are surrounded by this kind of just above input all day long. They understand most of what is happening around them, and they use context and observation to fill in the gaps. As an adult learner, you can recreate this exact condition by carefully choosing the content you use for practice. Watch shows with English subtitles, not translated subtitles, English subtitles. Listen to podcasts made specifically for language learners. Find YouTube channels that speak at a slightly slower pace with clear pronunciation. Read news websites designed for language learners. All of this keeps you in that sweet zone of 80 to 90% comprehension, where learning is fastest. There is another concept I want to share with you before we dive into the sentence structures. It is called comprehensible output, and it is just as important as comprehensible input. Output means speaking and writing, producing language, not just receiving it. Comprehensible output means producing language that stretches your ability just slightly. When you try to say something and you realize you do not have the words, that gap, that moment of "I do not know how to say this," is one of the most powerful learning triggers in language acquisition. It tells your brain exactly what it needs to learn next. It creates a demand for specific vocabulary or grammar that you then go and find, and because you needed it in a real communicative situation, it sticks in your memory far better than anything you memorized from a list. So the message is, push yourself to say things that are slightly beyond your current ability. Accept the discomfort of not quite having the right words. It is in that gap between what you want to say and what you can currently say that your English will grow the fastest. One more thing, and then we move on. There is a difference between learning English and acquiring English. Learning is the conscious, effortful process of studying grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, doing exercises, and analyzing language. Acquiring is the unconscious process of absorbing language through exposure and use, the way you absorbed your native language as a child. Both are valuable for adult learners, but they produce different kinds of knowledge. The grammar rules you have consciously learned can help you write carefully and edit your mistakes, but fluent spoken English, the kind that comes out automatically without conscious thought, comes primarily from acquisition, not from learning. And acquisition happens through massive exposure and massive output, reading, listening, speaking, and writing, over and over, in context, about things that matter to you. So from today, I want you to think of yourself not just as someone who is studying English, but as someone who is living in English as much as possible. Every interaction in English, no matter how small, is an acquisition opportunity. Every English song, podcast, video, conversation, book, or email is your brain getting better. You are not preparing to speak English someday, you are speaking it today, even if imperfectly. And every day you do, you are closer to the speaker you want to become. Now that we understand the real problem, let us start building the solution. Chapter 2: Simple sentence structures that work in every situation. One of the most common mistakes that English learners make is trying to sound too advanced too quickly. They try to use complicated vocabulary, long sentences, and fancy grammar structures, and then they get confused in the middle of their own sentence and lose the listener completely. The best English speakers in the world, the ones who are clearest, most persuasive, and easiest to understand, are the ones who use simple sentences masterfully, short, clear sentences that say exactly what they mean. Today, I am going to give you the most powerful sentence structures in the English language. These are the structures that native speakers use every single day, and I want you to repeat each one out loud as I say it. The first structure is I am plus a word that describes you. This is the most basic and most important sentence in English. I am happy. I am tired. I am ready. I am a teacher. I am a student. I am from Pakistan. I am interested in learning English. Repeat this. I am happy. I am tired. I am ready. I am from Pakistan. This structure tells the world who you are and how you feel. Master it completely. The second structure is I have plus a thing or an idea. I have a question. I have a problem. I have 3 children. I have a meeting tomorrow. I have been living here for 2 years. This structure tells people about your life, your possessions, your situations. Repeat it now. I have a question. I have a meeting tomorrow. I have been studying English for 3 months. The third structure is I want plus something. I want to learn English. I want a coffee, please. I want to ask you something. I want to improve my speaking. This is one of the most useful structures in everyday life. In shops, in restaurants, in offices, in any situation where you need something from another person. Repeat it. I want a coffee, please. I want to ask you something. I want to improve my speaking. The fourth structure is I need plus something. I need help. I need more time. I need to speak with someone. I need to find the station. The difference between I want and I need is the level of urgency. I want is a preference. I need is a necessity. Both are important to master. Repeat. I need help. I need more time. I need to find the station. The fifth structure is can I plus an action. This is how you ask for permission politely in English. Can I ask you something? Can I sit here? Can I see the menu, please? Can I have a glass of water? Can I use your phone? This structure is extraordinarily useful in almost every social situation. Repeat it. Can I ask you something? Can I sit here? Can I have a glass of water, please? The sixth structure is can you plus an action? This is how you ask someone else to do something. Can you help me? Can you say that again? Can you speak more slowly, please? Can you tell me the way to the airport? Can you give me a minute? Repeat it. Can you help me? Can you say that again? Can you speak more slowly, please? The seventh structure is I think plus your opinion. I think this is a good idea. I think you are right. I think we should try again. I think the meeting starts at 9. I think is incredibly powerful because it softens your opinion, makes you sound thoughtful and humble, and opens the door for conversation. Native speakers use I think constantly. Repeat. I think this is a good idea. I think you are right. I think we should try again. The eighth structure is I would like plus something. I would like a table for 2. I would like to speak with the manager. I would like to apply for the position. I would like some more time to think about it. I would like is more formal and more polite than I want. Use it in professional situations, in restaurants, in interviews, anywhere you want to sound respectful and confident. Repeat. I would like a table for two. I would like to apply for the position. I would like more time, please. The ninth structure is, it is plus a description. It is a beautiful day. It is very difficult. It is too expensive. It is not what I expected. It is exactly what I was looking for. It is getting late. This structure describes the world around you. It describes situations, things, and experiences. Repeat. It is a beautiful day. It is very difficult. It is not what I expected. The 10th structure is, I do not understand plus a clarification request. I do not understand this word. I do not understand what you mean. I do not understand. Could you explain it differently? This is one of the most important sentences a language learner can say, and most people are too embarrassed to say it. Do not be. Saying I do not understand is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of honesty and intelligence. It keeps the conversation going instead of ending it with silence. Repeat it right now. I do not understand. Could you explain it differently? I do not understand this word. Could you say it more simply? These 10 structures are your foundation. Every conversation you will ever have in English, in a shop, at work, with a friend, in a job interview, can be built on these 10 simple patterns. Before you move forward, make sure you have repeated every single one of them out loud. Repetition is how they move from your head into your mouth, and from your mouth into your automatic speech. But I want to go deeper here because these 10 structures become even more powerful when you understand how to combine them and expand them. Let us take the simplest one, I am, and show you how far it can take you. I am a student is a complete sentence, but when you add a little more, it becomes a window into your whole world. I am a student who is studying engineering at university, and I am really passionate about renewable energy. Same structure, much richer meaning. And every word in that expansion uses simple vocabulary that most intermediate English learners already know. This is the principle of sentence expansion. You start with the core structure, and then you add details using connector words. These connector words are the joints that hold sentences together in English, and they are not difficult. The most important ones are and, but, so, because, when, if, although, while, after, before, which, who, and that. Let us practice sentence expansion right now. Take the sentence, I am tired. Now expand it using because. I am tired because I stayed up very late last night working on a project. Now add but. I am tired because I stayed up very late last night working on a project, but I feel good because the project went really well. That single sentence tells a full story. Your state, the reason for it, a contrast, and a positive emotion. And it uses only simple vocabulary and simple grammar. Now try it with I want. I want to improve my English. Expand with because. I want to improve my English because I have a job interview next month at an international company. Add and. I want to improve my English because I have a job interview next month at an international company, and I know that speaking confidently will make a big difference. Now that is a meaningful, clear, and confident sentence. Now let me give you 5 more structures that will take your English from basic to genuinely impressive without any complex grammar. The 11th structure is, have you ever plus an action. This is how you ask about someone's life experience in a natural, friendly way. Have you ever been to Japan? Have you ever tried Thai food? Have you ever worked in sales? Have you ever learned a musical instrument? This question opens up wonderful conversations because it invites people to share something from their personal history. And when they answer, you can follow up with, what was that like? Or how long did you do it? Or I would love to try that someday. The 12th structure is, what do you think about plus a topic? This is your opinion-seeking sentence. What do you think about working from home? What do you think about the new policy? What do you think about this idea? It is respectful, curious, and invites the other person into the conversation. People love being asked their opinion, and this structure does it naturally and smoothly. The 13th structure is, I have been plus an action ending in meine ini. I have been learning English for 6 months. I have been working here for 3 years. I have been thinking about this a lot. I have been trying to find a solution. This structure, called the present perfect continuous, tells people about an ongoing experience that started in the past and continues now. It sounds sophisticated, but it is not difficult. Practice it right now. I have been learning English for 6 months. I have been trying to improve my speaking. I have been reading a lot of English books recently. The 14th structure is, it would be great if plus a situation. It would be great if we could meet next week. It would be great if there was more time. It would be great if you could help me with this. This is a polite way of expressing a wish or making a soft request. It is warmer than I want and more personal than I would like. Use it when you want something, but you want to express it gently. The 15th structure is, the more I plus an action, the more I plus a result. The more I practice English, the more confident I become. The more I listen to English, the more I understand. The more I speak, the easier it gets. This structure is beautiful. It captures one of the most fundamental truths about language learning and about growth in general. Practice saying it with your own experience right now. The more I practice English, the better I get. The more I listen, the more natural it sounds. The more I speak, the less afraid I feel. These 15 structures together, the 10 you already have, plus these 5 new ones, are a complete speaking toolkit. With these 15 patterns, you can introduce yourself, describe your life, express your feelings and opinions, ask about others, make requests, give directions, participate in meetings, do your shopping, handle complaints, build friendships, and tell stories. Master these and you are no longer a beginner, you are a confident, functional, genuinely communicative English speaker. Chapter 3. How to introduce yourself and start any conversation in English. The first 30 seconds of any conversation in English are the most important and the most terrifying for most learners. Your heart is beating, your palms might be sweating, and someone is about to ask you something, or you are about to say the first word. What do you say? How do you start? Let us practice this from the very beginning. The most common opening in English is simply, hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. These are not difficult words, you already know them, but the problem is the moment after hello. What comes next? Here is a simple, powerful, and complete introduction that you can use in almost any situation. Listen carefully and then repeat it out loud. Hello, my name is I am from your country. I am your job or what you do. It is nice to meet you. That is it. 4 sentences, and they work everywhere. In a business meeting, at a social event, on your first day at a new job, when you meet someone at a conference, even when you sit next to someone on an airplane. Practice this right now with your own information. Say it out loud. Now let us talk about what happens after the introduction. After you say those 4 sentences, you need to ask the other person about themselves. This is how conversations work. You share a little, they share a little, and slowly you build a connection. Here are the best questions to ask after an introduction. And you, what do you do? This is simple and natural. What do you do means what is your job or what is your occupation? It is one of the most common questions in English conversation because people love talking about their work. Where are you from? This is another extremely common and comfortable question. It opens up a huge range of follow-up topics: their country, their culture, how they feel about the place where they are now. How long have you been here? If you are both in the same place, a city, a company, a course, this is a great question. It shows interest in their experience. What brings you here today? This is a slightly more sophisticated way of asking why someone is in the same place as you. It works at events, conferences, courses, and meetings. Is this your first time here? Simple, friendly, and easy to answer. Now let us talk about what to say when a conversation is already happening and you want to join it. This is something many English learners find very difficult. They see a group of people talking and they want to participate, but they do not know how to enter the conversation without being awkward. The easiest way is to listen first, wait until there is a natural pause, then start with one of these entry phrases. That is really interesting. I was just thinking the same thing. Can I add something to that? I agree with what you were saying. I had a similar experience. These phrases connect your contribution to what was already being said, which makes your entry feel smooth and natural instead of sudden and disconnected. Let us also talk about how to keep a conversation going when you feel it slowing down. This is a skill called conversation maintenance, and it is one that even native speakers have to develop consciously. The secret is simple: ask follow-up questions. Whenever someone tells you something, ask them one more question about it. They say, "I was in London last week." You say, "Oh really, what were you doing there?" They say, "I had a meeting." You say, "How did it go?" They say, "Really well, actually." You say, "That is great. Are you going back soon? See how that works? You are not doing anything difficult, you are just asking one more question every time. This signals to the other person that you are interested, that you are listening, and that you want to continue the conversation. And when people feel heard and valued, they want to keep talking, which is perfect for you, because the more they talk, the more time you have to prepare your next sentence. There is one more crucial skill for starting and maintaining conversations, and it is the art of the active listening response. These are the small sounds and phrases that native speakers make while the other person is talking to show that they are listening. In English, these include right, yes, I see, of course, that makes sense, exactly, wow, really? Oh, interesting. These little responses are incredibly important. Without them, you seem cold, distracted, or like you do not understand. With them, you seem engaged, warm, and confident. Practice them. The next time someone is speaking to you in English, keep a small sound or phrase ready, just a simple I see or right or of course, and use it regularly. You will be amazed at how much more natural and confident you seem. Chapter 4. Everyday English at Work. Sounds professional, stays simple. One of the most high-stakes environments for English learners is the workplace. Whether you are attending a meeting, writing an email, speaking with a colleague, or presenting to a client, professional English has its own rhythm, its own vocabulary, and its own set of rules that are different from casual conversation. And the pressure of getting it right, because your career, your reputation, and your relationships are involved, makes the anxiety even more intense. But here is the good news: professional English is actually more predictable than casual conversation. In casual conversation, the topics can go anywhere: sports, family, news, jokes, personal stories. But in a professional setting, conversations tend to follow clear, repeatable patterns. And once you learn those patterns, you can navigate almost any professional situation with confidence. Let us start with meetings. Meetings in English-speaking workplaces have a very specific structure, and being able to participate in that structure is the key to being seen as a competent professional. At the beginning of a meeting, these phrases are commonly used. Let us get started. Shall we begin? I would like to start by looking at the purpose of today's meeting is to. First on the agenda is practice these. Say them out loud right now. Let us get started. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss our progress. First on the agenda is the budget update. When you want to say something or contribute an idea in a meeting, use these phrases. I would like to add something. If I could just say something here, can I make a point? I think it is also worth mentioning that, in my opinion, from my perspective, based on my experience, these phrases give you permission to speak without interrupting rudely. They signal that you have something to contribute, and they buy you a second or two to collect your thoughts before you say the main part of your idea. When you agree with someone in a meeting, say, I agree with that. That is a good point. Exactly. I think you are right. I was thinking the same thing. That matches what we have seen on our end. When you disagree, and this is important, because disagreeing politely is one of the hardest things to do in another language, use I understand your point, but I think that is an interesting perspective. However, I see it slightly differently. I am not sure I agree entirely. Could we consider another possibility? These phrases let you push back without being aggressive. They show that you have listened, that you respect the other person's opinion, but that you have a different view. When you do not understand something in a meeting, do not sit in silence hoping it will become clear. Instead say, I am sorry, could you clarify that for me? Could you say a little more about that? I want to make sure I understand. Are you saying that? Could you give an example of what you mean? Now let us talk about professional small talk. The conversations that happen before and after meetings, in the hallway, in the break room, or at the beginning of a phone call. These small conversations are actually very important. They build relationships, they create trust, and for English learners, they are often more frightening than formal presentations because they are completely unscripted. The most common topics for professional small talk are the weather, the weekend, travel, food, and general news about the company or the industry. Stay away from politics, religion, personal finances, and health problems. These are too personal for professional small talk. And stay away from complaining too much about work. It signals negativity and can damage your professional reputation. Here are some great professional small talk openers. Did you have a good weekend? Have you been busy lately? How is the project going? Are you enjoying the conference? I hear the new office opens next month. Have you seen it? Did you catch any of the news about the industry this week? When someone asks you a question like this, do not just say yes or fine. Expand your answer. If someone says, "Did you have a good weekend?" do not just say, "Yes, it was good." Say, "Yes, it was really nice. I went to visit some family. Have you been doing anything interesting lately?" That expansion, plus the returning question, is the engine of small talk. It is what keeps it going and what makes you seem warm, social, and confident. Let us also talk about emails, because for many English learners who work in English, email is where they spend the most time and feel the most pressure. A good English email has 3 parts: an opening, a body, and a closing. And for each part, there are simple, reusable phrases that work every time. For openings, use, "I hope you are doing well. I hope this email finds you well. Thank you for getting back to me. Following up on our conversation from yesterday, I wanted to reach out about, I am writing to." For the body, be clear and direct. Say what you want in the first sentence. "I would like to schedule a meeting for next week. I am writing to ask about the status of the project. I have attached the report you requested." Use short paragraphs. Each paragraph should have only one idea. If you have 3 things to say, write 3 short paragraphs. For closings, use, "Please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything else." Then end with, "Best regards," or "Kind regards," or "Sincerely," followed by your name. These phrases are professional, natural, and used every day by English speakers in companies all over the world. They are not fancy or complicated. They are clear, respectful, and effective. And once you have these patterns memorized, writing a professional email in English becomes much less stressful. Let us now go deeper into one of the most important and underrated professional English skills: giving and receiving feedback. In English-speaking workplaces, especially in international companies, the ability to give feedback clearly and receive it gracefully is considered a mark of real professional maturity. When giving positive feedback, be specific. "Great job" is kind, but not very useful. The way you structured that presentation made it really easy to follow, especially the summary slide at the end is specific, meaningful, and far more motivating. Practice being specific. "I thought your analysis was really thorough. I appreciated how calmly you handled that difficult client. The report was exactly what we needed: clear, well-organized, and on time." When giving constructive feedback, feedback that addresses something that needs to improve, use the positive bridge approach. Start with something genuine that went well. Then introduce the area for improvement using "one thing I would suggest," or "it might be even stronger if." Then close with encouragement. For example, "I thought the content of your report was excellent. The data was really solid. One thing I would suggest is making the executive summary a little shorter so that senior leaders can get the key points faster. But overall, this is really impressive work." When receiving feedback, even critical feedback, the most powerful thing you can say is, "Thank you, that is really helpful," or "I appreciate you pointing that out," or "That is a good observation. I will think about how to address it." These responses signal emotional intelligence and professional maturity. They show that you can hear criticism without becoming defensive, which is one of the rarest and most valuable professional qualities in any language. Let me also give you the language for some of the most common and important professional situations that English learners face. When you need to say no or push back on a request, "I would be happy to help with this, but I am at capacity this week. Could we look at the timeline? I want to make sure I give this the attention it deserves. Could we prioritize which of these tasks is most urgent? I am not comfortable with this approach. Could we explore some alternatives?" These phrases let you hold your ground professionally without seeming difficult or uncooperative. When you need to negotiate a deadline or a scope, "I can definitely deliver this, but I want to make sure the quality is right. Would an extra 2 days be possible? To do this properly, I would need a little more information about the expected outcome. Could we have a quick conversation about the scope? I want to be realistic with you. This is going to take longer than the original estimate. Here is what I think a more accurate timeline looks like." When you need to escalate a problem, "I want to make you aware of something that has come up. I think we have a situation that might need your attention. I have been trying to resolve this at my level, but I think it is worth involving you at this stage. These phrases flag problems without sounding alarmist or like you are unable to handle your responsibilities. When you want to build your reputation in meetings by asking smart questions, I want to make sure I understand the context. What problem are we ultimately trying to solve? What does success look like for this project? Have we considered the impact on the customer experience? What are the risks if we go with option A? Smart questions are often more impressive than ready answers because they show strategic thinking, the ability to think beyond the immediate task to the bigger picture. And finally, when you want to show leadership in a professional English context, use language of inclusion and ownership. What does everyone else think? I would love to hear from people who have not spoken yet. Let me take ownership of that action item. I will follow up and make sure it gets done. If anyone has concerns, please come to me directly and I will address them. This language positions you as someone who listens, includes, takes responsibility, and follows through, which is the definition of a leader in any language. These phrases are professional, natural, and used every day by English speakers in companies all over the world. They are not fancy or complicated. They are clear, respectful, and effective. And once you have these patterns memorized, writing a professional email and navigating professional conversations in English becomes not just manageable, but genuinely powerful. Chapter 5: Shopping, Restaurants, and Getting What You Need Every Day. Some of the most practical and common English conversations happen in the most ordinary places: supermarkets, restaurants, pharmacies, coffee shops, banks, and post offices. These are the places where English learners feel pressured the most quickly because they need something specific, time is short, and there is no way to prepare exactly for what the person on the other side will say. But with the right phrases and the right mindset, these conversations become easy, simple, even enjoyable. Let us go through each one. At a coffee shop or cafe, the conversation usually goes like this. The server will say, "What can I get for you?" Or "What would you like?" Or "Are you ready to order?" And your response should be simple and clear. "I would like a medium coffee, please. Can I have a cappuccino?" "I will have the chicken sandwich, please." Notice the three structures we already practiced: I would like, can I have, and I will have. These three patterns cover almost everything you need to order at any food or drink place. Practice them. I would like a large tea with milk. Can I have a glass of water as well? I will have the pasta with tomato sauce, please. After you order, the server might ask, "For here or to go?" This means, are you going to eat here or take it with you? Answer, "For here, please," or "To go, please." Or they might say, "Anything else?" which means, "Do you want to order anything more?" Answer, "No thank you, that is everything." Or actually, "Yes, could I also have a piece of cake?" When you finish eating and you want to pay, say, "Could I have the bill, please?" Or "Can I get the check?" In American English, it is usually the check. In British English, it is usually the bill. Both are understood everywhere. When paying, you might be asked, "How would you like to pay?" Answer, "By card, please," or "In cash." If there is a problem with your order, the food is wrong, or you did not receive what you ordered, say calmly and politely, "Excuse me, I ordered the chicken but I received the fish. I think there might be a mistake. I asked for no onions. I am sorry to bother you, but this is not quite what I ordered." Always use a calm, polite tone. In English-speaking cultures, being aggressive or rude in a restaurant is very frowned upon. A simple, polite correction will get you much better results. Now let us talk about shopping. When you enter a shop, the staff will often say, "Hi, can I help you?" Or "Are you looking for anything in particular?" If you are just browsing, say, "No thank you, I am just looking." If you need help, say, "Yes, actually, I am looking for," and then describe what you want. "I am looking for a pair of black shoes." "I am looking for a gift for my mother." "I am looking for something for dry skin." When you find something you like but you are not sure about size, color, or price, ask, "Do you have this in a larger size? Do you have this in blue? How much is this?" Or "What is the price of this?" If something is too expensive, say, "That is a little out of my budget." Do you have something more affordable? Or is there anything similar that costs a little less? When you are ready to buy, say, "I will take this, please," or "I would like to buy this." When you are not going to buy anything, "Thank you for your help, I will think about it," is a polite and natural way to leave without feeling rude. At the pharmacy, these phrases are essential. "I have a headache. What do you recommend?" "Do you have something for a sore throat?" "I need something for a cold." "Can I get this without a prescription?" "How often should I take this?" "Are there any side effects I should know about?" I am allergic to penicillin. Is there anything I should avoid? These phrases cover almost every common pharmacy situation. At the bank, you might need to say, I would like to open a bank account. I would like to make a deposit. I need to transfer some money. Can you tell me the current exchange rate? I would like to withdraw some cash. There seems to be an error in my account. Could you help me check? The key principle for all of these everyday situations is this: be simple, be clear, and be polite. You do not need complex sentences. You do not need impressive vocabulary. You need the right phrase for the right moment, delivered with confidence and a polite tone. And the phrases I have just given you will take you through the vast majority of daily life in any English-speaking environment. Let me now walk you through a few more extremely common everyday situations that English learners frequently encounter and feel unprepared for. At the doctor's office or in a medical situation, these are the phrases you absolutely need to know. When describing symptoms, I have had a headache for 3 days. I am feeling very tired all the time. I have a sharp pain in my lower back. I have been coughing a lot, especially at night. I feel dizzy when I stand up quickly. I have had a fever since yesterday. My stomach has been really upset. When describing the nature of the pain, it is a dull ache. It is a sharp stabbing pain. It comes and goes. It is constant. It gets worse when I walk. It gets better when I rest. When asking the doctor questions, is this something to be concerned about? What do you think is causing this? What are my options? Should I come back if it does not improve? Are there any side effects I should watch for? Is this medication safe to take with the other medicine I am already on? How long will the recovery take? These medical phrases are among the most important life skills in English. In an emergency or a medical situation, the ability to describe your symptoms clearly and ask the right questions could genuinely make a significant difference to the quality of care you receive. At the post office, these phrases are useful. I would like to send this to the United States. How much does this weigh? Which service would you recommend for fast delivery? Is there tracking available? I would like to buy some stamps, please. How long will it take to arrive? I need to pick up a package. Here is the notification. At a hotel, you might need, I have a reservation under the name, could I have a quiet room, please? Is breakfast included? What time is checkout? Could I get a late checkout, please? The air conditioning does not seem to be working. There seems to be an issue with the hot water. Could I have an extra pillow? Where is the nearest metro station from here? When using public transport, does this bus go to the city center? Which platform does the train to Manchester leave from? How many stops is it? Is this seat taken? What time is the next train? I need a single ticket to please. Can I get a return ticket? Where do I need to change? Is this the right direction for Destier? When dealing with technology problems in English, which happens constantly in the modern world, my internet connection is not working. I am having trouble logging in. Could you help me reset my password? The app keeps crashing. I cannot access this page. Could you walk me through the steps? I am not very technical. Could you explain it simply? I have already tried restarting it. The error message says, notice that in all of these situations, the vocabulary is specific to the context, but the sentence structures are always the ones we have already practiced. I have, I need, I would like, could you, is there. You are not learning new grammar for every new situation. You are learning new vocabulary and applying the same reliable structures. This is the genius of focusing on sentence structures first. They are the containers into which you pour any vocabulary you need for any situation. The key principle for all of these everyday situations remains the same. Be simple, be clear, and be polite. Nothing more is needed, nothing more is required. Just these 3 qualities, consistently applied, will carry you through every daily life situation in the English-speaking world. Chapter 6, How to Ask for Help, Directions, and Clarification Without Feeling Embarrassed. One of the biggest fears English learners have is asking for help. There is something deeply uncomfortable about raising your hand, metaphorically or literally, and saying, I do not understand, can you help me? It feels like an admission of failure. It feels like exposing yourself. It feels like confirming everyone's worst suspicion that you are not good enough. But I want to completely reframe the way you think about asking for help, because in English-speaking cultures, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of intelligence, self-awareness, and respect. When you ask for clarification, you are telling the other person, I value this conversation enough to make sure I understand it correctly. When you ask for directions, you are telling the world, I am someone who knows how to get the information I need. When you ask for help in a professional situation, you are demonstrating maturity and efficiency. And here is something even more powerful to remember. The people you ask for help from are almost never judging you as harshly as you think. Most people, when someone approaches them for help, feel good about it. They feel useful. They feel like the person trusts them. Very few people are secretly thinking, this person is so stupid for not knowing where the train station is. They are thinking, let me help this person get where they need to go. So let us practice asking for help with zero embarrassment. These phrases are your best friends. Excuse me, could you help me? This is the universal opener. In any situation, in any country where English is spoken, these 5 words will get you the attention you need. Say them confidently, make eye contact, and wait. Almost everyone will stop and offer assistance. I am sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you could... This is a slightly more formal and very polite way to ask for help. I am sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you could point me in the direction of the nearest train station. The phrase "I was wondering if you could" softens the request and makes it feel less demanding. I am a bit lost, could you help me find? Admitting that you are lost takes courage, but it is honest and effective. I am a bit lost, could you help me find the hospital? People respond with warmth and directness to this kind of honest request. Now let us specifically practice asking for directions, because this is one of the most common real-world situations for English learners. When asking for directions, always include a clear description of where you want to go. Excuse me, do you know how to get to the main train station? Could you tell me the way to the city center? Is there a pharmacy near here? How far is it to the nearest bus stop? When someone gives you directions, they will usually use these words and phrases: turn left, turn right, go straight ahead, take the 2nd street on the right, it is on your left, it is on your right, just around the corner, about 5 minutes on foot, you will see it on your left, go past the traffic lights. When you see the big supermarket, turn right. These direction words are very important. Repeat them now. Turn left, turn right, go straight ahead, take the 2nd street on the right, it is just around the corner, about 10 minutes on foot, go past the traffic lights, and it is on your left. If you did not understand the directions the first time, and this happens to everyone, do not panic. Simply say, I am sorry, could you say that again more slowly? Or, I am sorry, you said to turn right after the lights? This repetition strategy is called checking back, and it is one of the most effective communication tools in any language. Now let us talk about asking for clarification in conversation. This is the skill of making sure you have correctly understood what someone has said, and it is essential for anyone speaking a language that is not their native tongue. Here are the best clarification phrases in English. Sorry, could you repeat that? Could you say that again, please? I did not quite catch that. Could you say it once more? Could you speak a little more slowly? I am sorry, what does mean? Could you explain what you mean by that? Are you saying that? So if I understand correctly, you mean? Just to make sure I understand, you want me to? That last type of phrase, where you repeat back what you think you understood, is especially powerful. It is called paraphrasing, and it serves 2 purposes at the same time. First, it confirms that you have understood correctly. Second, it shows the other person that you were listening carefully, which makes them feel respected and valued. Practice this right now. Imagine someone just told you something complicated. Say out loud, so if I understand correctly, you are saying that the meeting has been moved to Thursday? Or just to make sure, you want the report by the end of the week? These paraphrase questions are simple, natural, and extremely effective. There is one more thing I want to say about asking for help, and it is possibly the most important thing in this entire chapter. The English you use to ask for help does not need to be perfect. It needs to be clear enough to be understood. If you say, "Excuse me, where is train station?" instead of "Excuse me, could you tell me where the train station is?" the person will still understand you. They will still help you. The world does not punish you for imperfect grammar. It rewards you for trying. Chapter 7, talking about your life, your opinions, and your feelings in English. There is a difference between functional English and expressive English. Functional English lets you survive. You can order food, ask for directions, attend a meeting, but expressive English lets you thrive. You can tell stories, share opinions, describe how you feel, connect with people on a deeper level. And this is what most English learners really want. Not just to be understood, but to be known, to be able to express who they actually are. This chapter is about expressive English, and we are going to do it simply, clearly, and powerfully. Let us start with talking about your life, your past, your present, and your future. These 3 time frames cover almost every conversation about personal experience. To talk about your past, use these structures. I grew up in. I used to. When I was younger, I studied. I worked as. I have lived here for. A few years ago, I practice these now. I grew up in a small town near Karachi. I used to work as a teacher before I changed careers. When I was younger, I wanted to become an engineer. I studied business at university. A few years ago, I moved to this city for work. I have lived here for almost 3 years. To talk about your present, use right now, I am. These days, I am working on. I currently, at the moment, I am. I spend most of my time. My job involves. I am really enjoying. Practice. Right now, I am working on improving my English skills. These days, I am focused on building my career. I currently work in marketing for a local company. At the moment, I am learning a lot about digital media. I spend most of my time working on content creation. To talk about your future, use I am planning to, I hope to, my goal is to, in the next few years, I want to, I am thinking about, I would love to, eventually, I plan to. Practice. I am planning to travel to Europe next year. I hope to become fluent in English within the next 12 months. My goal is to start my own business before I turn 35. In the next few years, I want to move to a bigger city. I would love to study abroad for a semester. Now let us talk about sharing opinions. This is where so many English learners go silent because they are afraid that their opinion will sound wrong or that they will not express it clearly enough. But your opinions are valuable. Your perspective is unique, and the world needs to hear it. Here are the best opinion phrases in English. I think, I believe, in my opinion, from my point of view, as far as I am concerned, I feel strongly that, it seems to me that, I am convinced that. Personally, I think, when you want to give a more nuanced opinion, one that has 2 sides, use on one hand, but on the other hand, there are advantages and disadvantages. It depends on the situation. That is a complex question, but I would say, I can see both sides of this, but personally, practice an opinion right now. Pick any topic, English learning, technology, your city, your work, and say one sentence with I think or in my opinion. Say it out loud. Do not worry if it is perfect. Just say it. That act of forming and expressing an opinion in English, even imperfectly, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your fluency. Now let us talk about feelings, because emotional expression is one of the hardest things in a second language. When something happens to us, good or bad, we feel it first in our native language. The words come naturally in the language of our heart. But in English, we have to translate those feelings, and sometimes the translation does not feel quite right. Here are the most important emotional expression phrases in English. For positive feelings, I am really happy about, I am excited to, I feel great about, I am proud of, I am grateful for, I feel very positive about this, it means a lot to me, I am really looking forward to. For difficult feelings, I am a bit worried about, I feel uncertain about. I am not sure how I feel about this. It has been difficult lately. I am a little stressed about. I am disappointed with. I was not expecting that. It is taking some time to adjust. Notice that I have given you phrases for both positive and difficult feelings, and that the difficult feelings are expressed calmly and without drama. This is a feature of English communication in most professional and social contexts. English speakers, particularly in formal or semi-formal situations, tend to use understated language for negative emotions. I am a bit disappointed is more common and more effective than a dramatic expression of anger or sadness. Practice the understated version. It will serve you better in almost every context. The most important thing about expressing yourself in English is this: do not wait until your English is perfect to start talking about what matters to you. Your ideas, your feelings, your stories, they are valuable right now. With the simple phrases I have given you in this chapter, you have everything you need to begin expressing your authentic self in English today. Now let us talk about storytelling in English, because the ability to tell a story, a personal anecdote, a funny experience, a meaningful memory, is one of the most powerful social skills in any language, and one that is particularly prized in English-speaking cultures. English-speaking cultures have a strong tradition of personal narrative. In casual conversation, people regularly share short stories from their own experience to illustrate a point, build connection, or simply entertain. That reminds me of something that happened to me last year. I had a similar experience. Let me tell you about it. You will not believe what happened to me this morning. These story openers invite the listener in and signal, something interesting is coming, stay with me. A good story in English, even a simple one, has 3 parts: the setup, the complication, and the resolution. The setup tells us when, where, and who. Last summer, I was visiting my aunt in London. A few weeks ago, I was in an important meeting at work. When I was a student, I had this professor who was absolutely unforgettable. The setup gives the listener context and creates the world of the story. The complication is where something unexpected, funny, difficult, or interesting happens. And then suddenly the fire alarm went off right in the middle of my presentation. I realized halfway through the conversation that I had been speaking to the wrong person the entire time. The flight was canceled and we had no idea what to do. The complication is the heart of the story, the moment that creates tension or surprise. The resolution is how it ended. We ended up laughing about it all the way home. By some miracle, we found the last available hotel in the city. It turned out to be the best decision I ever made. The resolution, it gives the listener emotional closure and often carries the point of the story, the lesson, the punchline, or the connection. Practice telling a story right now. Think of something that happened to you recently, something small, something interesting, something funny, something unexpected. Build it into 3 parts: the setup, the complication, and the resolution. Then say it out loud in English. Do not worry if it is not perfectly polished. A genuine, imperfect story told with warmth is 1,000 times more engaging than a perfect, sterile statement of facts. Here are the best story transition words in English, the words that move you from one part to the story to the next. So, and then, but suddenly, at first, after a while, in the end. And the funny thing was, I could not believe it, but it turned out that, and just when I thought it could not get any worse. These transitions give your story momentum and make it feel like a real, natural narrative rather than a list of events. I also want to give you the language for one more important form of personal expression, talking about your values and beliefs. This is the deepest level of self-expression in any language, and it is where connections with other people go from pleasant to meaningful. How to express your values in English. Something that really matters to me is, I feel very strongly about, I believe deeply that, one of my core values is, I have always thought that, I was raised to believe that, at the end of the day what I care most about is, I would not feel right if I did not. Practice one right now. Finish this sentence out loud in English. Something that really matters to me is, say whatever is true for you, your family, your faith, your education, your community, your health, your work, your integrity. Say it in English, own it. Because that sentence, imperfect as it may be, is you speaking in English. And that is the whole goal of everything we have done today. Chapter 8. Making Friends and Small Talk. The everyday English that builds relationships. If there is one thing that separates English speakers who are functional from English speakers who are genuinely comfortable and happy in an English environment, it is the ability to do small talk. Small talk is the light, casual, friendly conversation that happens everywhere, at the school gate, in the elevator, at a party, while waiting in line, in the break room at work. It is not deep, it is not serious, it does not change the world, but it is the glue that holds social relationships together. And for English learners, it is often the most terrifying kind of conversation. Here is why small talk is so hard for English learners. In your native language, small talk is completely automatic. You do not think about what to say, it just flows. But in English, every sentence feels like a decision. Every response requires conscious thought. And while you are thinking about what to say, the moment passes, the silence becomes awkward, and you feel like you have failed socially. The solution is to have a small library of small talk phrases that you know so well they become almost automatic. You practice them so many times that when the moment comes, you do not have to think, you just reach for the phrase and use it. Here are the most powerful small talk topics and phrases in English. The weather is the most universal small talk topic in the world, especially in English-speaking cultures. Beautiful day today, isn't it? Can you believe how hot it is? It has been raining all week. I am so ready for some sunshine. I heard it is going to be colder this weekend. This weather is perfect for staying inside with a book. Current events and news are another great small talk topic, as long as you stay away from politics and anything that might be divisive. Did you see the game last night? Have you been following any good shows lately? Did you hear about the new restaurant that opened downtown? I was reading that they are finally going to fix that road. It has been under construction for 2 years. Compliments are a powerful small talk tool, especially when meeting someone new or reconnecting with someone you have not seen in a while. I love your jacket. Where did you get it? You look great. Have you done something different? That presentation was excellent, by the way. I have always admired how organized you are. When receiving a compliment in English, the natural response is simply, "Thank you so much, that is really kind of you to say." Asking about the weekend or holidays is a classic small talk conversation. What are you up to this weekend? Did you do anything fun over the break? Are you planning to go anywhere for the holiday? Did you get a chance to rest a bit? When someone asks you one of these questions, give a specific, interesting answer, not just nothing much. Even if you stayed home, find something interesting to mention. I actually had a really nice quiet weekend. I cooked something new, which was great. How about you? Food is another wonderful small talk topic because everyone eats and almost everyone enjoys talking about food. Have you tried that new Thai place on the main street? I have been trying to cook more at home lately. I cannot believe how much I enjoy cooking now. I hated it 5 years ago. What kind of food do you like? I tried making bread from scratch last weekend and it was a disaster but kind of fun. Travel is also a classic small talk topic. Have you traveled anywhere interesting recently? I have been thinking about visiting Spain. Have you ever been? What is the best trip you have ever taken? I went to Istanbul last year and it completely blew my mind. I would love to travel more, but finding the time is always the challenge. Now let us talk about one of the most important small talk skills, showing genuine interest. The reason some people are brilliant at small talk is not because they are funny or because they know the perfect things to say. It is because they make the other person feel genuinely interesting and important. And the way they do this is by asking follow-up questions, remembering what the other person said, and building on it. If someone says, "I went to Italy last summer," a weak small talker says, "Oh, nice." A strong small talker says, "Italy. Which part? How long were you there? What was the food like? Did you get a chance to see Rome?" The follow-up questions show interest, generate more conversation, and make the other person feel valued. This is the secret at the heart of all great social English. It is not about you, it is about making the other person feel heard. One more thing about making friends in English. Real friendships in any language develop slowly, through repeated interaction and gradual disclosure, the slow process of revealing more of yourself over time. You do not become someone's close friend in one conversation. You become their acquaintance. Then, over multiple conversations, you become their friend. Each time you see them, you build a little more. You remember what they told you last time. You ask how that job interview went. You mention something you both talked about before. This continuity, this demonstration that you listened and remembered, is the foundation of friendship in any culture, but it is especially valued in English-speaking ones. So do not put pressure on yourself to be brilliant at small talk from day one. Just aim to have one small, pleasant, genuine interaction every day. Ask one question, give one real answer. Remember one thing the person said. That is enough to start building real relationships in English. Let me give you something very specific now. A complete conversation model that you can use when you first meet someone in almost any context. This is not a script you memorize word for word. It is a framework, a map of how to navigate those crucial first 5 minutes. Study it, practice it, make it your own. The 5-minute new acquaintance conversation goes like this. In the first 60 seconds, you greet and introduce. "Hi, I am Amin. It is great to meet you." Then you establish common ground. Why are you both in the same place? Are you here for the conference? Do you work in this department? Did you just start this course? This common ground question immediately creates a shared reference point. You are not strangers anymore. You are two people in the same situation. In the next 90 seconds, you ask an easy, warm question about them. How long have you been with the company? Is this your first time at this event? What brings you to this part of the city? Then listen attentively. Use your active listening responses. Right, I see, oh really, that is interesting. Do not be planning your next sentence while they are talking. Actually listen. What they say will give you material for your next question. In the next 90 seconds, share something about yourself that connects to what they said. If they said they are here from another city, say something about travel or relocation. If they mention their job, share something brief about yours. This reciprocal sharing is how intimacy develops in conversation. they share, you share, they share, you share. Back and forth, each exchange adding a little more depth. In the final 2 minutes, wrap up warmly. It has been really great talking with you. I hope we get a chance to talk more later. I would love to hear more about your project sometime, and if appropriate, could we exchange contact details? Or would it be all right if I followed you on LinkedIn? The closing of a first conversation is just as important as the opening. A warm, genuine farewell leaves the person with a positive impression that makes them want to continue the relationship. Now, here is a very common scenario that many English learners find extremely difficult: the telephone or video call introduction. When you cannot see the other person's face, you lose all the visual cues, the nods, the smiles, the body language that normally help you understand how the conversation is going. And many learners find phone and video English significantly harder than face-to-face English. Here are the specific phrases that make telephone and video calls work smoothly. When answering a call, "Hello, this is Matt. Good morning, call speaking. Thank you for calling. How can I help you?" When making a call, "Hello, this is Matt, calling from CAC. I am following up on our earlier conversation. I was wondering if I could speak with." When the connection is bad or you did not hear something, "I am sorry, I think I lost you for a moment. Could you repeat that? I did not quite catch that, the line is a little unclear. Could you say that one more time?" These phrases handle the most common awkward moments in phone calls without making things feel tense. When ending a call, "Thank you so much for your time. I will follow up by email. Looking forward to our next conversation. Have a great rest of your day." These closing phrases are simple, warm, and professional, and they leave the other person with a very positive impression of you as a communicator. Chapter 9. What to do when you make mistakes, get confused, and want to give up. This chapter might be the most important one in this entire masterclass, not because it gives you more phrases or vocabulary, but because it addresses the thing that derails more English learners than anything else: what happens after a mistake. Let me describe a very common experience. A person has been studying English diligently for months. They have improved significantly. Their grammar is better. Their vocabulary has grown. And then one day they are in the middle of a conversation, maybe with a native speaker, maybe in an important situation, and they make a mistake. Maybe they use the wrong tense. Maybe they mispronounce a word. Maybe they use the wrong preposition and the sentence sounds strange. And the other person either corrects them, or stares at them blankly, or says, "Sorry, what?" And in that moment, something happens inside the English learner. A wave of shame, embarrassment, and frustration washes over them, and they make a decision, usually unconsciously, to speak less, to take fewer risks, to play it safe, to use simpler sentences that they know will not get them into trouble. And just like that, the mistake, which was completely harmless and recoverable, becomes the reason for their stagnation. They stop growing because they are trying to avoid the very thing that makes them grow. Here is what I need you to understand about mistakes in language learning. They are not signs of failure, they are signs of effort. Every mistake you make in English is evidence that you were trying to communicate something, that you were reaching beyond your comfort zone and attempting to express an idea that was slightly beyond what felt safe. That reaching is exactly what accelerates learning. The learner who makes 100 mistakes in a week learns faster than the learner who makes 0 mistakes, because the learner with 0 mistakes is not really trying. Every single person who speaks English fluently today made the same mistakes you make. They said "I am agree" instead of "I agree." They said "yesterday I go" instead of "yesterday I went." They mispronounced words. They used the wrong article. They said "she" when they meant "he." And they kept going anyway. That is the only difference between them and the person who gives up. Now let us talk about what to actually do when you make a mistake in conversation. There are several practical strategies that will help you recover quickly and keep the conversation moving. The first strategy is self-correction. If you notice the mistake immediately, just correct it yourself without a big deal. I go to the gym every morning. Or he is my colleague from London. This kind of immediate self-correction shows language awareness, not weakness. Native speakers do this constantly. It is completely natural. The second strategy is the graceful acknowledgement. If someone corrects you or you realize your mistake a moment later, simply say, "You are right, thank you," or "Ah, I see, I will remember that." A simple, calm acknowledgement of a correction signals confidence, not embarrassment. It shows that you are a mature learner who values accuracy and appreciates being helped. The third strategy is to keep going. This sounds simple, but it is the hardest one. When you make a mistake and you feel the shame rising, just keep talking. Finish your sentence. Finish your thought. The conversation will recover. The person you are talking to almost certainly has already moved past the mistake, even if you have not. They are waiting for the rest of your idea. Give it to them. The fourth strategy is to use your mistakes as material for later learning. After a conversation, think back. What mistake did I make? What did I want to say but could not find the words for? What sentence came out wrong? And then practice those specific things. This is targeted learning, and it is far more effective than studying random grammar from a textbook. Let us also talk about what to do when you get confused in a conversation. When someone speaks too fast, uses unfamiliar vocabulary, or says something you simply cannot process in the moment, do not pretend to understand. This is one of the most damaging habits an English learner can develop. When you nod and smile and say yes, yes, when you have actually understood nothing, you are not protecting yourself, you are isolating yourself. You are creating a situation where the other person believes you understood them, and the conversation will continue in a direction you cannot follow. And eventually, the gap between what they think you understood and what you actually understood will create a serious problem. Instead, use these confusion management phrases. I am sorry, I did not quite catch that. Could you say it again? I am not sure I followed. Could you go over that one more time? Could you say that a little more slowly? I am sorry, I am not familiar with that word. Could you explain what it means? I want to make sure I understand. Are you saying that? These phrases do not make you look incompetent. They make you look like a responsible, attentive communicator. And in every professional and social context, that is a valuable thing to be. Now let us talk about the moments when you want to give up entirely, because they will come. There will be a day, maybe a week, maybe a whole month when your English feels like it is going backwards, when every conversation feels harder than it did before, when you cannot remember words you used to know, when your confidence crashes and the thought "I will never be fluent" feels completely true. This is called a plateau, and it happens to every language learner. It is not real regression. Your brain is actually reorganizing and consolidating everything it has learned. It just does not feel like progress, because progress in language learning is not always visible. Sometimes you are making enormous internal progress that will not show up in your speaking ability for another 2 or 3 weeks. The way through a plateau is not to study harder. It is to change what you are doing. If you have been doing reading exercises, switch to listening. If you have been listening, switch to speaking practice. If you have been practicing alone, find a conversation partner. The change of input gives your brain a new angle of attack on the language, and often within a few days the plateau breaks and you feel the progress rushing back. Most importantly, on the days you want to give up, just do not give up today. You do not have to commit to speaking English for the rest of your life. Just commit to today. Just do the 30 minutes of practice I am going to give you in the next chapter, and tomorrow decide again. One day at a time is how every truly fluent English speaker got to where they are. Let me also give you something practical for one of the most specific and painful experiences of the English learner: the moment when your mind goes completely blank mid-sentence. You are in the middle of saying something and suddenly the word you need is simply not there. Your mind is empty. Silence fills the room, and you feel a wave of panic. This happens to native speakers too. They call it losing their train of thought, but for English learners it is particularly frightening because the silence feels loaded with judgment. Here is how to handle it gracefully. First, use a filler phrase. These are the natural English sounds and expressions that people use to fill silence while they think. They include, well, you know, let me think about that for a second. How do I say this? That is a good question. Give me a moment. What is the word I am looking for? These fillers are completely natural. They are used by politicians, professors, journalists, and native speakers of every kind. They do not make you sound uncertain or uneducated. They make you sound thoughtful. Second, describe the concept instead of using the word you cannot remember. This is called circumlocution, talking around the word, and it is one of the most important fluency strategies in language learning. If you cannot remember the word pharmacy, you say the place where you buy medicine. If you cannot remember the word receipt, you say the paper they give you in the shop that shows what you paid. If you cannot remember the word deadline, you say the last day by which the work needs to be finished. Circumlocution proves that you understand the concept even if you cannot access the specific word in that moment, and understanding the concept is what really matters in communication. Third, laugh at yourself gently. If you completely lose your train of thought or say something that comes out wrong, a small, warm laugh, "I am sorry, that came out completely wrong, let me try again," instantly releases the tension and makes everyone in the conversation more comfortable. Native speakers do this constantly. It is charming, it is human, it builds rapport rather than damaging it. Fourth, after the conversation, look up the word you could not find. Write it down. Practice it 3 times in a full sentence. This post-conversation vocabulary work is one of the most targeted and effective vocabulary building habits you can develop. Now I want to address one more pattern that holds many English learners back: comparison. This is the habit of looking at other English speakers, particularly more advanced or native speakers, and feeling defeated by the gap between where they are and where you are. Comparison is natural. It is human, and in small doses it can be motivating. It shows you what is possible. But in large doses, it is corrosive. It makes you feel like you will never be good enough. It makes every conversation a test you are failing rather than a chance to grow. The only comparison that will ever help you is comparing yourself to who you were last month. Not to a native speaker, not to a colleague who has been speaking English for 20 years, not to a YouTube English teacher who has spent thousands of hours perfecting their delivery, just to your own past self. Ask yourself, am I better than I was 3 months ago? If the answer is yes, and it almost certainly is if you have been practicing, then you are on the right path. That is the only score that matters. And here is a final thought on mistakes and resilience that I want you to carry with you long after this video ends. The people who become truly fluent in English are not the smartest people, or the people with the best memory, or the people with the most natural gift for languages. They are the people who refuse to stop. They are the people who make a mistake, learn from it, and go again. They are the people who have a terrible conversation, feel embarrassed, and show up again tomorrow. They are the people who treat every setback as information rather than proof of failure. Resilience in language learning looks exactly like resilience in life. It is not the absence of difficulty. It is the decision to continue in spite of difficulty. And every time you continue, every time you open your mouth in English, even though you are scared, even though you might be wrong, even though you know you are not perfect, you are building the most important skill of all, the courage to communicate. Chapter 10, your daily 30-minute practice system that will change your English forever. Everything we have covered in this masterclass, the mindset shift, the sentence structures, the conversation strategies, the professional language, the daily life phrases, the mistake recovery techniques, all of it only works if you practice consistently. And consistently does not mean perfectly. It does not mean never missing a day. It means that English practice becomes a regular part of your daily life, as normal as having breakfast or brushing your teeth. The system I am going to give you now works in exactly 30 minutes. You can do it in the morning before work, in the evening before bed, on your lunch break, or split across different times of the day. It does not require a classroom, a teacher, or an expensive course. It requires only your attention, your voice, and the habits I am about to describe. The system has 5 parts, each of which is 6 minutes long. Total, 30 minutes. Let us go through each part. Part 1, 6 minutes of listening. Every day, listen to 6 minutes of natural English. This can be a podcast, a YouTube video, a TED Talk, a news segment, or a clip from a TV show or film. Anything where native or fluent English speakers are speaking naturally. During these 6 minutes, do not try to understand every word. Just listen to the rhythm, the speed, the natural flow of the language. Notice how sentences connect, notice the emotions in the voice, notice the pauses and the emphasis. This kind of listening, where you are absorbing the music of the language rather than analyzing every word, is called extensive listening, and it is one of the most powerful fluency-building activities that exists. After the 6 minutes of listening, spend 30 seconds writing down any word or phrase that stood out to you. It does not have to be a word you did not know. It can be a phrase you liked, a word that was used in an interesting way, or an expression that sounded natural and useful. Write it down. Part 2, 6 minutes of speaking out loud. Take whatever you wrote down from your listening session, plus any of the sentence structures from this masterclass that you have been practicing, and speak out loud for 6 full minutes, monologue style. Talk to yourself, talk to an imaginary person, describe your day, tell a story, practice a difficult sentence over and over, explain a concept, It does not matter what you say as long as you are producing spoken English continuously. This part is the most uncomfortable for most people. Speaking out loud to no one feels strange. It feels embarrassing even in private. But this discomfort is a sign that the practice is working. The more often you force yourself to produce spoken English without the safety net of someone guiding you, the more automatic your speech will become. Professional actors, teachers, and public speakers all practice exactly this way, out loud, alone, with no audience. Because your mouth needs practice just as much as your brain does. Part 3, 6 minutes of focused reading. Read 6 minutes of English text, not a grammar book, but real English, a news article, a short story, a chapter of a novel, a blog post, a social media thread, a movie review, anything that interests you. During these 6 minutes, do not stop at every word you do not know. Read for meaning. Guess the meaning from context. If a word appears multiple times and you cannot guess it, then look it up. This strategy, reading for meaning rather than stopping to translate every word, builds real reading fluency far faster than the stop and translate approach most learners use. After you finish reading, pick one sentence that you found interesting, useful, or well written. Read it aloud 3 times, then close your eyes and try to say it from memory. This single practice, finding a sentence you like and internalizing it, will build your English vocabulary and grammar far more effectively than memorizing word lists. Part 4, 6 minutes of conversation practice. Every day, have a short conversation in English with a real person. This could be a language exchange partner, a tutor on an app, a colleague who speaks English, a family member who is also learning, or even a chatbot you speak to out loud. The medium matters less than the act of real-time communication. You need the experience of producing English while another entity is listening and responding, because this is what real life demands. If you genuinely cannot find a person to speak with, use a voice-to-text tool and speak English to it for 6 minutes. Watch how accurately it transcribes you. This is immediate feedback on your pronunciation and clarity. The closer the transcription matches what you intended to say, the more clearly you are speaking. For many learners, this 6-minute conversation practice is also when they practice the specific phrases from this masterclass. You can role-play real situations, a job interview, ordering at a cafe, asking for directions, making small talk at a party. The more specifically you practice these situations, the more automatic you will be when they happen in real life. Part 5, 6 minutes of reflection and vocabulary building. In the final 6 minutes, review what you have practiced today. Look at the word or phrase you wrote down from the listening session. Did you use it anywhere during the day? Can you use it in a sentence right now? Write it in a sentence, or better, say it in a sentence out loud. Then review any mistakes from your conversation practice. What did you want to say but could not? What sentence came out wrong? Look up the correct version and practice it 3 times out loud. This targeting of your personal weak spots is far more effective than any grammar exercise from a textbook. Then add 3 to 5 new words to your personal vocabulary list. These should not be random words from a dictionary app. They should be words that you personally encountered today in your listening, reading, or conversation practice. Words you encountered in context are words you are far more likely to remember and actually use. End each session with 30 seconds of positive acknowledgement. This sounds soft, but it is scientifically supported. Before you close your notebook or put down your phone, say one positive thing about your English progress, out loud, in English. I understood the podcast today better than last week. I remembered the word I learned yesterday and actually used it. I held a 6-minute conversation without freezing. These acknowledgements activate the reward system in your brain and make you more likely to practice again tomorrow. This is the complete system. 30 minutes, 5 parts, 6 minutes each, done every day, or at least 5 days out of 7. This system will transform your English within 3 months. Not might transform, will transform. Because the system is built on the same principles that researchers and language teachers have identified as the most powerful drivers of fluency: consistent exposure, regular output, real communication, targeted vocabulary building, and positive reinforcement. Now let me address the 2 most common reasons people fail to stick with a practice system like this, because knowing these in advance will help you avoid them. The first reason is perfectionism. Perfectionism in language learning looks like this: I will not practice today because I am too tired and I will not do it well. I missed yesterday, so there is no point continuing. I am going to restart next Monday when I can do it properly. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. A 6-minute listening session done at half attention is better than no listening session at all. A conversation practice where you make 10 mistakes is better than no conversation practice. The goal is consistency, not perfection. 5 imperfect days of practice will always beat 0 perfect days. The way to fight perfectionism is to lower the threshold. Tell yourself, I only need to do 2 minutes today. Almost always, once you start, you will do the full 30 minutes. But even if you only do 2 minutes, that is 2 minutes of improvement. 2 minutes is better than 0. Give yourself permission to practice imperfectly, and you will practice far more consistently than the person who insists on perfect conditions. The second reason people fail with practice systems is boredom. After a few weeks, the routine starts to feel mechanical. The podcast they chose is no longer interesting. The conversation topics they practice feel repetitive, and when practice becomes boring, motivation crashes. The solution is variety within structure. The structure, 5 parts, 6 minutes each, stays the same every day, but the content rotates completely. Listen to a comedy podcast one day, a news program the next, a documentary the day after. Read fiction one week, news articles the next, blog posts the next. Conversation practice one day is about travel. The next day is about your work. The next day is a role play of a job interview. Keep the structure, change the content. This variety keeps your brain engaged and hungry for more, while the structure keeps you moving forward consistently. Let me also give you some specific resources and approaches that work particularly well with the 5-part system. For your 6 minutes of listening, some of the best options are podcasts made for English learners, which you can find by searching English Learning Podcast on any podcast app, YouTube channels that cover topics you are genuinely interested in, with English subtitles turned on, audio from English language TV shows or films you have already watched so that you understand the context and can focus purely on the language, and news broadcasts from BBC, CNN, or VOA, all of which are available as audio. For your 6 minutes of speaking, the best activities are narrating your own day, telling the story of what happened today as if you were telling it to a friend, doing a thought out loud session where you just speak whatever is on your mind in English without stopping, practicing a specific scenario that you know is coming up, an interview, a presentation, a difficult conversation, or using a language exchange app to find a real conversation partner. For your 6 minutes of reading, the best sources are news websites specifically designed for English learners, which use simpler vocabulary and shorter sentences. The first chapter of any English novel you find interesting, fiction is particularly rich in vocabulary and natural sentence patterns. English subtitles on a show you are watching, you can pause and read them as text, or English social media posts, which give you informal, current, natural language. For your 6 minutes of conversation practice, if you cannot find a human partner, these alternatives work well. Voice chat with a language exchange app like Tandem or HelloTalk, speaking to a voice-enabled AI and asking it to play the role of a coworker, a customer, or a friend, recording yourself on your phone having a conversation where you speak both sides. This sounds strange but works remarkably well for building fluency. Or calling a real English-speaking business and asking a genuine question. This gives you real, unpredictable English interaction in a low-stakes context. For your vocabulary building, the most powerful method is not a flashcard app. It is writing new words and phrases in a small notebook that you carry with you, and then reviewing that notebook for 60 seconds at random moments throughout the day. On the bus, waiting in line, during a lunch break. These random review moments are called spaced repetition, reviewing information at increasing intervals, and they are one of the most scientifically supported methods for long-term memory retention. The question is not whether the system works. The question is whether you will do it. And if you are sitting there right now thinking, I will try this tomorrow, I want to challenge you. Do not start tomorrow, start today. Right now, after this video ends, do something. Listen to 5 minutes of an English podcast. Record yourself saying the 15 sentence structures from this masterclass. Write down 3 vocabulary words you want to learn this week. Send 1 message in English to someone you know. The action does not have to be big, it just has to happen today. Because tomorrow is where good intentions go to die. and today is where progress actually begins. We have come to the end of this masterclass, but I want to leave you with something that goes beyond phrases, grammar, and practice systems. I want to leave you with a different relationship with the English language. English is not your enemy. English is not something that is being kept from you by your background, your country, your age, or your accent. English is a tool, the most globally powerful communication tool in the history of the human race, and it is available to you. Every word in the English language is learnable. Every grammar rule is understandable. Every conversation situation is practicable. Nothing about English is beyond your reach. The only thing between you and fluency is time and consistent effort. But more than that, I want you to see that learning English is not about becoming someone different. It is not about abandoning your culture, your values, your personality, or your language. The best English speakers in the world, the ones who are most compelling, most interesting, most magnetic to listen to, are the ones who speak English with the full force of their unique identity behind every word. They bring their culture, their worldview, their humor, their passion, their particular way of seeing the world into the English language. And that combination, their authentic self expressed in English, is what makes them unforgettable. You have a worldview that no native English speaker was born with. You have experiences, perspectives, stories, and insights that come from a life lived in a different language, a different culture, a different set of circumstances. When you bring those things into your English, when you speak about your world with the confidence and clarity that this masterclass has begun to give you, you become something rare. You become a bridge between languages, between cultures, between people who would otherwise never fully understand each other. That is not a small thing. That is one of the most powerful things a human being can be. So go back to chapter 1 and practice the mindset. Go to chapter 2 and master the sentence structures. Go to chapters 3 through 9 and practice the real-life scenarios. Come back to chapter 10 and commit to the 30-minute daily system, and then go into the world and speak. Speak at the coffee shop. Speak at work. Speak to your neighbor. Speak to strangers when you travel. Speak to your children or your parents or your friends in English even when it feels strange. Speak even when your sentence is not perfect. Speak even when you are nervous. Speak even when you would rather stay silent. Let me leave you with one last image. Think about the best English speaker you have ever heard. Someone whose English moved you, impressed you, or made you think, I want to speak like that. I guarantee you that person, whoever they are, had a moment, maybe many moments, when they felt exactly the way you feel right now. Uncertain, limited, frustrated by the gap between what they felt and what they could express, but they did not let that gap define them. They let it drive them. They turned every awkward sentence into a lesson. They turned every embarrassing moment into fuel. They turned every small success into a reason to try something bigger. That is the path, and it is available to you starting right now, because the English that changes your life is not the English you study in silence. It is the English you speak out loud, in the real world, with real courage. You have everything you need, now use it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class.